Welcome to Lesson 10, Writing and Expanding Multiplication Expressions. We are going to be multiplying today. So, please copy this. If you are you're using your workbook, you can go ahead and start using your workbook. Lesson 10, Writing and Expanding Multiplication Expressions. So today I will identify parts of an expression using mathematical terms for multiplication. So right now, here is a quick discussion. So I want you to listen and I want you to take notes. Okay, so you can take notes in your workbook or on a piece of paper. A lot of what we're talking about here, you will be hearing about throughout, throughout the time that you're going to be taking math. So when we start to use variables with multiplication, we can use other forms. So here are 1, 2, 3, 4 options. A times B with an X. A times B with a dot. A times B, just the two letters next to each other, and A times B, using parentheses to separate your variables. Why might we want to use a form other than the X when variables are involved? So why would we want to stay away from using this X? And we've talked about this before. It's because the X can be confused for a variable instead of a symbol for an operation. This can easily mean A times X times B. Okay, we use X a lot as a variable. And I'm sure you've either noticed that or you will find out. Which of the three models can be used to show multiplication where there are no variables involved? So, which of the three models can be used? So let's say you're not using variables, you're using two numbers, right? So 5 times 7 using the X is definitely acceptable because now you know you're multiplying numbers and you don't have a variable. 5 times 7 using the dot, and 5 times 7 separating them with parentheses. But not 5 times 7 where you just put the two together, because that looks like the number 57 and not 5 times 7. We will also be using math terms to describe expressions and the parts of an expression. We will be using words like factor, product, quotient, coefficient, and term. A term, okay, right here, is a part of an expression that can be added or subtracted from the rest of the expression. In the expression 7g plus 8h plus 3, what are the examples of terms? So one more time, a term is a part of an expression that can be added to or subtracted from the rest of the expression. So in an expression 7g plus 8h plus 3, what are the examples of terms? 7g, 8h, and 3 are all terms, right? Because you can add or subtract each of these to make them part of the expression. A coefficient, okay, this word right here, coefficient is a constant factor in a variable term. So for example, in the term 4m, 4 times m, 4 is the coefficient and it is multiplied with m being your variable. So coefficient is a constant factor in the variable term. That means 4 never changes. Okay, we know 4, whatever m is, because m will change from time to time, whatever m is, you're going to multiply it with 4. And this you will see a lot of as you go deeper into algebra. Your number here is called your coefficient, which is your constant factor. It does not change. You saw 3 other words. These words we've talked about, or you should have encountered them already in your mathematical career. Factor means each individual term that you're multiplying, right? The numbers that you are multiplying together. Product is the answer of your multiplication problem. A quotient you've heard of before. Now that I think about it, I'm not really sure why, but that is your the answer from your division problem, but that you will still encounter that later. Okay, lesson 10, example 1 is on page S45 of your workbook. Example 1, write each expression using the fewest number of symbols and characters. Use math terms to describe the expressions and the parts of the expression. So let me walk you through here. Example A, 6 times B. Okay. This can be written as 6b. The 6 is a coefficient and a factor. Remember, factors are the numbers that you multiply together. And the b is a variable. Okay, b being the letter, that's still, that will always be your variable because that can change, right? It can be any number. And a factor as well. We can call 6b the product. We can also call it a term, because this can be a term because that you can still add other things to 6b. You can say 6b plus 4, 3. Okay? Now, so here's your example, right? Letter B. 4 times 3 times h. Pause this video. See if you can answer this on your own. And then start it again to see if you have the correct answer. So, I'm hoping that you're saying, hey, look, 4 times 3, that's 12. So 12h would be your answer. Because remember, you want to use the fewest number of symbols and characters. So you're going to multiply 4 times 3, 12h. And the 12 is a coefficient and a factor. And h is a variable and a factor. We can call 12h the product. And we can also call it a term. Moving on. Now we have this long string, 2 times 2 times 2 times 8 times b. Pause this video to see if you can answer it. Okay. Remember, we want the fewest terms. So whatever you can multiply together, multiply it. Do we really want to use the x in there? Which letter, which part of this string is your coefficient, and which part is your variable? Which parts are terms, and what is the product? Okay. Which ones are factors? So many things, right? So 8ab would be your answer here. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 is 8. And then we are getting rid of the x's because we don't want it to be confusing. And we can put AB together and it'll still represent a multiplication problem. So 8AB. 8 is your coefficient and a factor. A and B are both variables and factors. And 8AB is a product and also a term. Next one. 5 times m times 3p. Okay. 5 times m times 3p. This one is kind of tricky. So pause it if you want to see if you can do this on your own. Alright. But here's one thing. Variables always follow the numbers and should be written in alphabetical order. Okay, we have here 5 times m times 3 times p. This will be 5 times 3, 15 mp. You always want to write your variables in alphabetical order. They also always come after your coefficient. Okay, so it'll always be the number first and then your variables, or and then the letters. So 15 is a coefficient and factor. M and P are variables and factors. 15 MP is a product and also a term. If it is helpful, you can gather the numbers together and the variables together. You can do this because of the commutative property of multiplication. So you can rewrite this as 5 times 3 times m times p. because multiplication, right? It doesn't matter what order your numbers are, which you should have learned earlier in one of your lessons. So it is the same thing, and you will have the same answer as which is 15 MP. Okay, last one, letter E. 1 times G times W. What do we do with this 1? Okay. It can be written as 1 GW, or you can just write GW. G and W are the variables and factors. 1 is the coefficient and factor if it is included. And GW is a product and also a term, because one does not need to be written here, because any number that you replace G and W with times 1 will be this number, right? You've learned about that in the additive property earlier. Okay, so you do not always have to write in the number 1. You can, that will not be wrong, but it's also okay to drop the 1 when you are writing these terms. So multiplying by 1 is an example of the identity property. If anybody caught that, it's identity property, not additive. Identity. Any number times 1 is equal to that number. Therefore, we don't always need to write the 1, because 1 times GW is the same as GW. Alright, to expand multiplication expressions, we will write the expressions by including the dot back into the expressions. Okay, so you are just simply finding the places where you need to add the dot. Letter A, 5G. That's just 5 times G. Okay, you can pause this video and do the rest on your own, and when you're ready to see the answers, just resume it. So, 7ABC can be written as 7 times A times B times C. C, 12G, can be written as 12 times G, or if you want to expand it even further, it can be 2 times 2 times 3 times G. Letter D, 3H times 8. Okay, that can be 3 times H times 8. Now, expanding 7G times 9H. That can be 7 times G times 9 times H, or 7 times G times 3 times 3 times H. Moving on to example 3. We're almost there, guys. Find the product of 4F times 7G. So now you don't even have to write down all the details as to which ones are terms or coefficients or factors or variables. Find the product. Okay, multiply it. What would this look like? We have here, we know that even if this is written as 4F, that is the same as 4 times F, and this is the same as 7 times G. We have a 4 and a 7 here, so we can multiply those and multiply the F and the G. Okay, your answer, 4 times F times 7 times G. You can rearrange this so that it's 4 times 7 times F times G, and your answer would be 28FG. Now multiply 3DE times 9YZ. Okay, feel free to rearrange your numbers so that it's easier for you to multiply. You can pause this video so that you can do this on your own, and then start it when you're ready. Alright, so 3 times D times E times 9 times Y times Z. That we can rearrange it so it's 3 times 9. And then we rearrange our letters. Remember, you're supposed to go in alphabetical order. So D times E times Y times Z. That'll give you 27 DEYZ. Now, this letter C, now that's another tricky one. Double the product of 6Y and 3BC. Okay, the product of 6Y and 3BC, and we need to double that. Remember, how many times are you multiplying it by to double. So if your answer was 2, you were correct. Okay, complete the rest. So 6 times y times 3 times b times c. Okay, let me get this out of the way here. You can rearrange it so it's 6 times 3 times b times c times y, and that comes out to be 18 bcy. But we're doubling it, remember? So now it's 2 times 18 bcy, and that means you're multiplying the 2 times 18, and it becomes, and your answer should be 36 bcy. That was it, guys. Your lesson summary: an expression in expanded form, an expression that is written as sums and or differences of products whose factors are numbers, variables, or variables raised to a whole number of powers, is said to be an expanded form. A single number, variable, or single product of numbers and or variables is also considered to be an expanded form. So your next steps: when you are done with your problem set questions, get an exit ticket. My friends, you are going to be doing all your problem set questions for this unit. So once you're done with that, get your exit ticket. There is a bingo game that goes with this, in which I will give you a board. Some of these boards are already pre-filled, matched expressions, some are simplified and some are expanded. Winners complete a row, a column, or a diagonal. I will let you know when we are going to play this. This will most likely be something that we do as a class your warm-up for the next day. I will inform you when we will play this bingo game. All right. So write your name on the board if you need help. Once again, you are completing the problem set questions, and then from there, take an exit ticket from the shelf. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, here is Mama Llama's live dog saying goodbye. See you in lesson 11.